Hello and welcome to Go Beyond Sports with me, Sonali Gupta, bringing to you conversations with people in sports. Today we have with us Aditi Mutatkar. She is a former international badminton player and has represented India in all major events, including the Asian Games, Commonwealth Games, and World Championships. She's a Commonwealth Games silver medalist and was ranked 27th in the world in the year 2008 in women's singles. After her retirement in sports, she studied Masters in Public Affairs program in UT Dallas with a specialization in nonprofit management. She was inducted in the Pi Alpha Alpha Honor Society during her course and graduated in December 2017. Aditi moved back to India to follow her passion for building a robust grassroots level sports ecosystem in India. She has worked closely with the Art of Play Foundation, where she helped in curating a grade specific curriculum and assessment structure for physical education, fundraising, and helped the organization give thousands of government school children access to organized sports. Aditi is currently heading Women in Sports initiative at the Simply Sports Foundation. Her mission is to minimize the disparity of women participation in sports in India as compared to men and give girls access to their much deserved space on the playground. She is also currently appointed the head coach and Padukone Sports Management Pune Center. However, today we speak to her about a topic which relates not only to her as a sports player or to other women players, but to all the parents of female players and their coaches. Today we discuss about the menstrual health in female sports players. And thank you so much, Aditi, for joining us for such an important topic today. You're so welcome to our show today.
Thank you, Sonali. I absolutely look forward to talking about this. It's been a taboo subject for a very long time, when I was an athlete, and even today, I don't think much has changed. So I'm very excited to talk about this today.
However, Aditi, let me start off by asking you this. What made you want to pick sports and continue playing it and participate in it now, long after you have been active on court post your retirement?
So I think sport is a way of life, and I think being connected to it as an athlete for such a long time, and even after post retirement, I was very clear that I want to work in the sports ecosystem one way or the other, because I really had the first hand experience of how sport is very connected to the way we live. It has a very, very big impact on life, not just in the amount of medals you win or in the amount of recognition you get. I think that is just one of the things that sport can give you, but I think sport teaches you life lessons which can kind of you which you can take with you,
Right.
as you go on with life. That has happened with me. Like you mentioned, I've done my master's when I went to UTD, and I could be a really good student because I had the discipline that sports gave me, and the belief that I had in myself, and all of those things is something that sport gave me. And I think, and I knew how much impact it has on life in general, and that's why I knew that I wanted to work in the grassroots sports ecosystem. I wanted to give access to children, to women, to girls, and to everybody who was there's where I saw disparity in terms of getting access to sport. So yes, the work I'm doing with Simply Sport is catering to that quite a bit, and also as a coach now at the Padukone Sports Management Center in Pune. It's again a way to give back, but also I think I'm learning so much myself, that it's a very exciting place to be currently.
Right. So jumping straight into the subject, Aditi, do you think there is enough awareness today, or is it really still as much a taboo subject like you mentioned?
Uh, So I am kind of I have a mixed review on this. If you look at if you look at elite athletes and elite sports person, women especially, you would see that the awareness is there, that they are a little more open about talking about menstruation, about menstrual cycles, or open to talking about that to their coaches, especially. But I feel like, and that's a very small percentage, right? But the elite sport is a very small percentage in India. But the majority of them, if you look at grassroots sports, if you look at even at the state, national level athletes who are currently training in different academies in different sports, I really feel like this is not a subject that's spoken about much. And I talk about this actually from a very informed perspective. I'm not kind of talking about it, just because I feel that that's the truth. Because before we actually came up with this curriculum, which we will talk about in some time, we had a very dedicated research that we did to kind of come up with the curriculum. And a part of our research was a lot of focus group discussions. And these discussions happened with all our stakeholders. We had female athletes, we had female coaches, we had male coaches and male sports support staff as well. And some really very, very insightful stories from all these stakeholders, right? When we came to the athletes, one of them was a weightlifter. And I remember when we asked her a question, and this was an interactive discussion, when we asked her the question, what happens to you when the periods are coming? Is there any changes that you see? And I'm not joking, Sonali, she actually ran away. She just couldn't talk about it to us, even though we were not even in the same room. She just ran away. She was so shy. Actually, she was smiling, and she couldn't have that conversation. So she ran away. That was one interesting experience. Then when we came to the female coaches, one of the coaches told us that I have actually never spoken about menstruation to anybody in my life. This is the first time that there is a group of women here sitting and we are talking about periods and kitna pain hota hai or nahi hota. I mean, I've never even had this discussion. Right. So that was again, and she was a pretty experienced female coach, right? And that was revelation for me as well, so that was one perspective. And then another interesting perspective we got was from the male coaches, of course. Majority of them accepted the fact that they had never spoken about this openly to their athletes. If somebody, for example, if an athlete came to them and said that, sir, my stomach is hurting, I need to stop, they would of course understand that, there is something like a period or something that's going on with her. But in both these conversations, they said that never use the word period or menstruation in their lives. And these were, again, pretty senior, 30 years, 40 years kind of experienced coaches. So all these perspectives kind of helped us understand that forget the sports science part of it right now. The focus needs to be on just making athletes, coaches aware about what this is. How does this affect performance? How can and again, what we need to understand here, Sonali, it's not about the performance as an athlete when they're actually playing, but about female bodies after they stop playing as well. So all of this was completely absent in most of our focus groups. And I was also a part of it. I also didn't know so much when we were discussing these things. So there is, maybe in a very small portion of people, there might be some awareness about this, but overall, from our experience, we felt that, we need to really do this because just there's no conversation happening.
Right. And this really brings me, in fact, I'm thinking of so many questions that I can ask you right now, because again, it's a topic no one's really spoken about, right? There is not enough conversation in and around this. So let me just ask you, of course, we will touch upon this with a lot of your own firsthand experience as an international elite player. But do you think, while we were talking about, say, coaches, we have the male coaches and we have the female coaches, and sort of both of them don't really bring it up unless it is in their face. So however, do you think that the female coaches in the reality or ground level are able to understand their female players and their bodies and the changes far better and adapt to it? Or are they also a part of the same training system that is used as a one for all, where there is then no difference in the methods that we are actually using for female players as well as for the guys?
Yeah. From the perspective of the coaches, from again, I'm coming back to the discussions that we had. And we had a decent amount. We had around 40 to 50 coaches that we spoke to. So it was not a very bad sample size per se.
Right.
So what we realized from these discussions was that, especially about female coaches. So most of these female coaches have themselves been athletes. And I know that being an athlete myself, I never spoke about menstruation ever. I mean, my coach knew, and I knew that, my stomach was aching sometimes and I would not play or whatever. And we knew, it was that unsaid thing. But what we need to realize is that the coaches today have come from the same space like I have, where we never spoke about it openly. And when that happens, you as a coach, it's very difficult to change that, right? You think, yeah, it's okay. I took care of it myself without actually, telling everybody that I'm on periods. So my students will do the same. Why should I ask them, go and ask them and, put them on, and maybe, the parents won't like it, or will the student like it? And it's all in a very, not very comfortable place. And that's what we got from the female coaches as well. There is never a conversation on this per se openly done with their female athletes. And it's the other way around, that the female athletes will never bring it up as well. What of course is a small difference here is that they're a little more comfortable when there is a female coach around, that they can actually go and say, "Ki, ma'am, I am on my periods, and can I take rest?" That is a little bit of comfort there. But to the male coaches, that's even not there. I mean, the male coaches will say that, no, we've never had this discussion with our athlete, and we never changed the way we trained. If it was a boy or a girl, both of them need to be treated equal. But what we miss out here is, it's not about being equally treated. What we're missing out here is that female bodies are different. They are just different, and we have to accept that. And we have a reproductive system that the men don't have. And there is, and again, another very interesting perspective that came out about this was that when a female athlete comes out and says that I want to take rest and I'm not feeling like it today, it is looked upon as from the athlete's end also, and from the coaches, as a part of weakness. You're accepting that you're weak, and you will not train, because you're feeling weak.
I really wanted to ask you this question, Aditi, and this is just what was going on in my mind. That
correct.
Is it rather so unfortunate that women are unable to say, look, I just need 5 days off, or it's just probably a day or two where I'm not up to it, or perhaps a prelude to it, or a proceeding, or whatever it may be. It's not because I am weak as a person, but it's because my body is different than it is on normal days. And just because you will tell me, don't do 100 crunch today, do 50, tumhara pet dukh raha hai, it doesn't solve the problem. Right? This is what happens at our grassroots levels, where the awareness is so much that when you go up as a player, perhaps assuming, and they would say and understand and cut short a little bit of the training for you, but training to tumhe karni hai, you cannot get a day off. Have you experienced these kind of things firsthand as well?
Oh, yeah. And again, this was not my coach. It was coming from my end. The accepting the fact that I need a break today was so difficult for me as an athlete, because the rationale here is that what happens if it's a tournament day,
Right.
Can you actually take an off? Then you can't. So why do you take it in practice? You shouldn't do it, Right. But what we don't realize is that yes, tournament day, you cannot go and quit, just because you're on your period. Actually, you can if you want to, but I'm just saying that generally you don't, right? In this also, we had an example where, I think it was the 2006 Olympics, where a Chinese swimmer, she was supposed to win the gold medal, but she couldn't, and she didn't perform. And when the press came to ask her, she said that, I was on my period. and I was not feeling up to it. And that was the first time I think that somebody, a woman athlete, came out and said for her, underperformance, that period was one of the reasons,
Right.
And that is again a revelation. It took 2006 to come up for an athlete to kind of say this openly, that, I was on my periods, and that's why I couldn't perform.
Right.
And of course, she followed it up by saying that, no, I'm not trying to give you an excuse, but I'm just saying that was the reality of the day for me. And I could have done better. So things like that. So it comes a lot from the athlete as well, that, just accepting the fact that one day I can take that off, and that doesn't really mean that, I'm a weak person, or, I'm a weak athlete. It's just that the body is telling me something and I'm listening to it. And actually in the long term, it will help me, to take that break today. So you couldn't do that. I couldn't do that as an athlete. I don't remember missing out a day of my training because I was on my periods. I would actually go on extra sometimes, just to prove a point to myself. And it was not, again, it was not coming from my coaches. It was actually coming from my own self of, I can't accept this. Others are doing the whole thing. I should do the whole thing as well. So it's complicated.
So then do you think, Aditi, that we are failing as a system where we are not in tune with the mental health of these kids as they are growing up, where they're not even able to come up and say, hey, I am not okay today. But that does not make me a bad player for just one day's performance or for just one day's training where I may slack a little bit. Again, coming from the space where like most athletes do not miss on their trainings, do not miss on their routines. Do you think this just becomes then an ingrained part of their mentality where they sort of cut off from their own bodies and are unable to see it as a whole, and then they're just continuing this as an autopilot without realizing that it is somewhere not as good to push it, and it could do harm later on as they grow up, or perhaps like you had briefly mentioned, and post the retirement. So again, lots of questions in and around that. But what do you have to say to this?
So I see. I don't know if this is a system issue, really, the mental health part of things. Of course, I don't want to go to mental health because I'm not an expert on it at all. And I would not try to comment on that. But coming back to accepting a day off because you're menstruating, I think I don't know if it's an athlete's kind of dilemma, if all the athletes go through this, I will not take an off. I am going to prove myself on each day, every day on the ground. I think it's something like that, because it's not just me. I saw a lot of my athletes struggling through their days of period, like they're bleeding a lot and, there is stomach aches, but they would just not take an off. They would just not do it. And I think it comes from and especially in sport, it comes from the fact that, everything is back to competition. You're constantly competing, even in your practice, what is your teammate doing? If she's doing 10, should I do 15? It's always like that. And that's the nature of sport. And because of the competition angle to things, I think it becomes a little more difficult for women, especially, to listen to their bodies, because, you just don't want to feel weak, and then if there is this strong athlete in front of you, and again, what we need to understand here, especially in menstruation, is that every body is different. Every body reacts to things differently. Every woman athlete is different, in the way she's composed in terms of how her body works. So, for example, there were in our focus group, there were some athletes who would say that I never had a problem. I didn't have a bleeding problem. My stomach was okay. I could deal with it aram se. But then there was the other part of things where she was like, no, I just couldn't get up from the bed, but I would push myself to go. So what we need to understand here is that, every body is different. And what happens is that because we don't educate ourselves as women to understand this process properly, or to understand how this works, it basically affects the way we perform, and we don't realize it because we are constantly we come from a place of competition. So we are constantly competing and saying that the strongest athlete on the day is doing this, so I need to be there. But what we have to understand is that, in terms of menstruation and in terms of how our bodies are composed, especially in terms of women bodies, we all suffer in a different way. right? And if we don't accept that, it is going to affect us, not today but maybe tomorrow, but it is going to affect us. So just understanding your body and tracking how your body works, around the menstrual cycle, it will make a big impact in the way you perform, in the way you perceive things. And you have to understand this is very crucial. Period is not something, yes, it happens to every woman, but it happens differently. That differently is very important. It happens differently to every woman, and you cannot compare. You just cannot compare it. And that is what we tend to do, because हमारे इसमें कैसे बताया जाता है, like, I don't know what's your experience with how your parents spoke about periods to you, but for me it was just like I bled one day. I came back from school, I bled, and then I told my mother, like I was, panicking, and I'm like, there's blood coming out, and stuff like that. And then my mom is like, no, this happens. You just have to. She just explained the part where you have to put a pad, and this will happen to you for 5 days. This happens every month. But then why does it happen? What care should I? No discussion on it, because you're not supposed to discuss it. This happens. So when this is the way you're introduced to something as important as menstruation, and this is I think by far the way most of our athletes are introduced to the topic, you feel like everybody goes through it, उसमें क्या है, हर लड़की को जाना पड़ता है. But it's not like that, especially in sport. You have to understand the details of each and everything in sport if you want to perform, and menstruation is a very, very important detail that we are missing out on.
Right. So do you think, Aditi, and before I get into the scientific research and all of it, let me just come to your experience as an elite player. Do athletes have to regulate their cycles, especially when it's an important match day? Is there awareness in the sense that, are they on medications? Are they delaying their periods? Are they doing those kind of things to then be able to perform? And if they are, how is it actually then affecting their health, their physical health, and or in the longer run, the effects of overdoing, playing with your cycles? How does all of that come together then as an athlete or a female player?
Sure. So there's a lot of research on this, and I'll start with my own personal experience in this, that I never took a contraceptive whenever I was playing or even after that. Luckily, I had a doctor who could explain this to me, and I never actually, again, you come from a traditional background, and your mother will always tell you, kuch nahi karna hai, no medicine and nothing. So when you come from something like that, you are prepared in your head, I have to just deal with it, man. I mean, I can't take anything for it. This is how it is, and I will do it. And of course, so I never really pushed my periods around as an athlete, and I just dealt with the way it was handed over to me. But if you look at the overall picture of things, and especially if you look at more international studies on this and stuff like that, there are athletes, of course, who take these contraceptives and during a major period day and all of that. But again, there's a lot of research, and maybe even about it, that it's not a good thing at all. I mean, playing around with your cycles is not going to help you, and it can really disrupt your hormonal levels in the body, and that can disrupt the way you perform, and actually it has, again, long lasting effects on your body later on. So yeah, as an athlete, I never took them, and there is research that suggests that you shouldn't do that. Of course, I think again, I'm not a doctor, so I shouldn't really comment on how should you take them and how many you should take and all of that. I think that's something that you go to a doctor and ask. Right. But going from my own experience, and going from whatever I have read, and from the workshop that we are doing as well, that it's a bad idea. And the frequency of it has to be very, very small, because otherwise it really affects the way your body reacts to things and the hormonal changes that your body goes through. So that's where we are at. I mean, and of course, from our research, again, we realize that most of the athletes don't take it. I think, again, because it's a very cultural thing, especially coming from India, right? That for us, for sure. Yes. I mean, in the international circuit, it might be a bit different, but coming from the Indian athlete perspective, I think most of them are anti any kind of medicine when it comes to periods.
Right. And like you had mentioned, Aditi, that not all athletes have same bodies. They do not all have easy cycles.
Yeah.
How does it affect them mentally when, say, they are also dealing with, say, PCODs, they're having UTIs with so many tournaments going around?
Yeah.
Again, all of that affecting your cycle, days of
Yeah.
absolute bloating where you're not able to perform your best. There is just so much that is in and around this topic. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it just seems like we are brushing it under the carpet so often that we do not
Yeah.
want to see that maybe it does underperform for a female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think, or in your research, have you been able to find out if it has affected women to an extent where they may have had to sort of give up on a certain sport after a point in time where they just couldn't deal with it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, with our research, especially, we have realized that there are a lot of athletes who suffer from, again, like everybody is different, every athlete is different, and there are athletes who suffer from this, and that actually affects their performance. And I think what happens here is that and the workshop talks about it, that how do you track your periods? Why is it important to track them? Because
Right.
I think everybody will have different kinds of after effects, side effects, and all of that of periods. And if you're
Absolutely.
tracking them well, you can actually understand how the cycle goes, when what happens, when is it a good time to train hard, when is it a good time to maybe take it a little easy, and all these things. To if you can understand all these things, it can really help you find a way around all of these effects that you're talking about, your bloating and all of those things. And again, I never did that. Again, and again, as an athlete, because I didn't know this existed, I didn't
Right.
have a conversation on this with anybody. I just didn't know that I can manage all of these things well. Like, for example, if I know that I'm on this week of my month and I'm tracking my period and I know what day is going on, I know that there is a chance of me having bloating issues, or I have a chance of me feeling craving to eat sweets. So if
Right.
I have all this thing already structured out, I can kind of manage things around. Like, I can eat something that doesn't make me bloat. I can do these things, and I can manage
Right.
my performance because of those things. But if I'm not tracking this, I'm anyway suffering, and it is going to definitely affect my performance. It is definitely going to affect my performance. So that's why, again, from this workshop, these are the things that we are talking about, and these are the things that we are helping even the coaches understand. Because again, what you have to understand here is, in a competitive sport, it is scarily competitive, right? I mean, every
Right.
day, every session matters. And
Right.
if in all of this planning, if your coach is not a part of it, and if it's a male coach, and luckily, unfortunately, in India, we have very less female coaches as compared to male coaches, right?
Right.
So you're mostly going to have a male coach around you. And if you can't talk about this, and if the male coach is not forthcoming about it, you can't plan your performances, and you can't plan your training sessions, right?
Right.
And that's why this conversation, this planning, all of this is important, especially when it comes to female athletes. And this is, like you said, this, we suffer from it, and we will not, because we just are not open to talking about it to the
Right.
people that are around us. We are
Right.
just hampering our performances. They are going to hamper in one way or the other.
Right.
Again, like I said, some athletes may not get so affected by it,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but some athletes will. And
Yeah.
what do you do about them?
Yeah. So then, do you think that just as now we have so many sports experts, right? We have the nutritionists, and we have a psychologist, and we have physiotherapists. It's also very important for us to engage a gynecologist for females, just so that they are able to give them that kind of awareness, just for them to be able to guide them with their bodies, to know what they are doing. Again, with workshops like the one where you are doing, when you introduce this as a concept, have an expert on board, and really talk about it. And like you mentioned that, nutritionally, there is a lot that you can do, say, to help
Yeah.
you on the days of bloating, or perhaps a very bad PMS where you don't know why you're agitated, and you don't know where you're angry.
Yeah.
You're sort of irritated, and and then you underperform, or you kind of, it's just it's sort of such a mixed bag of emotions and a mental state
Yeah.
for a female. And if you are not aware of why it is happening and how it is happening, it really is extremely difficult for them to overcome it, or perhaps get traumatized with it, stigmatized with it. There's a lot that kind of happens.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I'm not sure if we need a gynecologist on board as a part of the support team, but I feel like, we already have some really good sports scientists in India. I mean, we are, really expanding in this field, and we have really good people now working on the grassroots. I think the only thing that, we might be, we should be doing is this, making menstruation a part of the conversation. That's all that we're asking for. I think baki sab jo cheezein hain, most of the sports scientists already know about it. Because right. I mean, they're sports scientists, so this is a very important part that they must have already, read about, discussed in their classes where they were studying, and all of these things, because it's an important part, right? So what I think might help is just having this conversation and making it part of your preparations. That's all, right. and there's no reason to, I mean, again, I don't want to make it like a kya bolte hai, like a panic situation, periods aa gaya and you have to panic. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. What I'm trying to say is that there are things that you can manage around your cycles, and you can actually perform better, and that, I mean, that can be a very good incentive for everybody. The performance can actually go up by a certain percentage just because you're planning your schedules better. And that's what I say, that, I think most of the times, at least at the grassroots levels, it gets difficult to just talk about it. And I think most of the sports scientists and most of the people who are involved with sport, of course, know about it. I mean, I don't think there might be people who just don't know how it works, and what is menstruation, kyun hota hai, why do you bleed. I understand an athlete telling me ki, ma'am, I don't know why I bleed. Most of them say that because nahi pata, because I didn't know for a very long time, because my mother never sat down and told me why it happens, and it never happened with us, right? So I don't think we need a gynecologist in the team per se, but again, like I said, a gynecologist is important when it comes to when you're having issues of some kind, in terms matlab, there is a you miss a period, or you're having bone density issues. All of this is connected to menstruation, right? So all of these things, you have to, of course, go and talk to a doctor about it. But I'm not sure if we be in the support staff as such. Do we need a gynecologist? Maybe not. But if you're, of course, going through issues, you go and connect with a gynecologist for sure, because it will help a lot.
If there is just even probably enough awareness in the system where a coach can, recommend to a parent, hey, why don't you go take an opinion? Why don't you go meet an expert? Perhaps she'd be able to make her understand better, or, sort of to her own thing. And so then tell me, how in your workshop do you take this across to the parents, to the coaches, to the players? What is it that you, bring to the platform for them?
Sure. So the workshop is designed in a way where, again, the focus is just on starting the conversation. It's a very interactive kind of a workshop. It's not somewhere where the facilitator aa jata hai, or a theory, there's a lecture like it's told us, na? Matlab, when we have all these discussions in school, you just have a theory session. You have so many questions that are unanswered, but those questions are never asked.
And a lot of giggling.
Exactly, like the backbenchers are giggling, looking at the teacher. What is she talking? It's always like that. But we are not looking at doing a workshop in that way. The workshop is very interactive, where we really every session, like we have basically a day's workshop which we use, in which we kind of separate it into two different sessions. So there is a session about of 2 hours before lunch that we have with the coaches and the athletes, and then there is another session 1 hour or so in the later half, because it's kind of pretty mind intensive, right? You need to really be alert, and you need to answer questions and all of that. So we kind of space it out. But the workshop in itself is again based on the same concept, that we want to just start the conversation. We want to help athletes understand their bodies, how they work, why do you feel the way you feel, when you're going through these cycles, how can you manage them better, why is nutrition important, what are the after effects of menstruation if you don't take care of them when you're actually training. There's this concept called the female athlete triad as well, which is more specific to athletes, right? And again, nobody knows about this.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody knows about it, and we have to be more cognizant of it, because again, all of these are long-term issues that might come up. And so all of this workshop is, we are not doctors, very clear cut, right? I mean, we are very clear on that. So we are not telling anybody ki, you come to us and hum aapko ek individualized program de denge. That's not the intention here. The intention here is just to talk about the subject, just to kind of make athletes and coaches, to get them in one room and talk about it. That is the most important thing in this workshop. That what we encourage to do here is that we get female athletes and their male or female coaches in the same room, and we have this discussion. So, so everybody is talking about it with us. So whatever, after the workshop, the hope is that, they've already spoken about it now, periods ke baare mein baat ho chuki hai. So the hope is that, they take that with them and they become a little more comfortable once they get out, and they're like, they demand, so we want athletes to actually go and demand this from the coaches, and the coaches to be more comfortable with answering these questions. Can we do this? Should I look at a nutritionist for this? So these discussions could happen after this workshop, and it could just help athletes perform better, because ultimately for an athlete and for a coach also, performance matters, right? We are, again, like I said, we are a very competitive space, and everything comes down to how do you perform. And what I want to say, or what we want to kind of tell athletes and coaches through this workshop, is that your menstrual cycle is directly connected to the performance that you can give and your overall well-being. So being aware of it can really, really help you perform better. And let's have a conversation. So the workshop is basically designed to make athletes and coaches aware and to kind of start the conversation. That's all that we want to do from this.
Right. And can we touch upon a little bit on the triad that you actually mentioned that a lot of people, again, are not even aware of?
Yeah, sure. So the athlete triad is basically something that is more kind of dedicated to athletes, not something that only happens to athletes, but it is, athletes are more prone because we train so hard. Physically, we are so, we push our bodies really hard. So basically there are three things around this that, you could have issues in nutrition, you could have issues in bone density. And then because of all of this, you could actually have problems with your cycles as well. Like you could miss a period, or, it could kind of affect you. So it's like a triangular thing. But there are, of course, other issues with that. But the triad is basically about this. And the workshop gives you more details on this as well, as to why does it happen? How can you avoid it? What are the things you need to take care of? When do you need to go and see a doctor? So all of these things are pointed out on the workshop as well. But that is basically the triad, and it is something that, again, I was not aware of. And I can kind of, and again, on our discussions in our research also, we realized that a lot of female coaches who are a little senior now, and are having bone issues, or osteoporosis and stuff like that, they're like, oh, okay, this is what happened maybe. And so we don't want our young athletes to kind of have that aha moment, once they've actually gone through the whole thing, right? So let us kind of know this right now, so that we can take care of this as we go ahead.
Yes, and I think, yes, while we have so much data now available and so much research, and there's so much of science that's kind of going behind all of these things. And so very rightly that you put that we do not want our players today to have an aha moment, perhaps 20 years or 30 years from today, where we are already such a developed, progressing society. So why not give them all the help that is actually required for them? So thank you so much again, Aditi. It's been such a wonderful conversation. And I think there is never enough that we can talk about it, because again, it's such a nascent subject. Again, very taboo, perhaps easier for you and me to speak while we are, and yet so difficult to get down at a grassroots level and be able to bring this up to people, or even use the word menstruation or period or cycle or friends and having my off days. And I mean, the number of terminologies that we have just for this one thing, anything and everything that avoids us using the word menstruation. I think that's how we kind of designed our life, our lives around it, you know, where we sort of just do not want to use the word period. That's it. So I think, yes, but on a parting note, Aditi, what would be something that you would want to give back, perhaps as a tip, perhaps as one of the life lessons that you have learned from sport, from being a female athlete, from being an elite player, to everybody who's sort of hearing our conversation today?
I think one of the key things for me, and the key lessons that I carry with me even today, is the fact that you need to do what you love. And the moment you start doing things because somebody else is telling you to do it, you are going to do it for some time, and then you're going to lose interest, and you're going to blame that person and not yourself because they push you to do something. And again, doing what you love takes a lot of courage. It's not easy. Sometimes, for example, like me, I'm working in the social sector, and a lot of, and even after my education and having the profile that I have, I chose to work in a social sector and not in maybe in a corporate, and I'm in a big, doing my, whatever, in a corporate kind of sector right now. So I was also questioned a lot about it as to, why, are you getting enough money? Is it, financially viable and stuff like that? And I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'm super happy with what I do. And I absolutely love getting up every day and getting onto my laptop and reaching out to people and pestering them that do this workshop, this is useful. And, so I absolutely love that. And I think that is what I would like to, kind of tell the young athletes and their parents as well. You have to love what you do. And if you can manage to do that, you are going to be really happy. And you'll understand that, I think. I mean, I'm actually so happy today with whatever I'm doing that I really, I want every girl or every boy out there to do exactly what they love and not choose to do anything else. I think that is the most important thing I've realized.
Wow.
So I just want to finally just, tell everybody that, if you found this discussion and really insightful and interesting, please get onto our website. We have the our inquiry form there. Again, if you feel like this workshop is going to cost you a bomb, it is not. It is a very, very cheap workshop for a really valuable lesson to learn from it. So please don't worry about that as well. Please get onto the website, and we are open to kind of do whatever we can to talk about this to you guys. And I'm sure I'll also tell you this, that this is going to be a fun workshop. You'll really enjoy learning about things. So just come out to the website, or just contact me or Sonali, or whoever you can, and just get on board.
Yes, and please do look into the descriptions for all of the links and all of the connects that you require to take this forward and take this initiative forward and to support it. Let's support not only our female athletes through this, but let's just support a generation of players through this and actually ensure that we are giving a more educated and a more aware future to all of them. Thank you so much, Aditi, for being with us. And thank you, everyone, for being with us, supporting, for all the comments that you give, for all the topics that you love. If there is anything that you want me to speak about specifically in sports, about the people in sports, about sports experts, the business of sports, do drop in your comments. Thank you so much for your support, for your likes, for your subscribe, for your follows. I hope we continue to do this and bring to you stories of empowerment. Thank you so much.